Hello and welcome to the closing session of the 21st Annual Northwest Interlibrary Loan and Resource Sharing Conference. Today's date is September 16th, 2022. This session is being recorded on the behalf of NWILL. However, at this time, it is planned that the recording will be made available once captions have been added. Attendees will be notified when recordings are available. To turn live captioning on, click the CC link at the bottom of the screen and select Show Subtitles. If you have a question during the session, please use the Q&A function in Whova, and I will post these to the presenter, myself, or to the community at the end of the presentation. As you may all know by now, I'm Miriam Wanick, your NWILL chairperson. As stated at our sessions during NWILL reads our land acknowledgement at our opening and closing sessions. For brevity, I will be reading the shortened one you see on the screen, but you can read the full land acknowledgement under our land acknowledgement tab at NWILL.org. And the link that I will be dropping into the Whova chat here. NWILL wishes to acknowledge that it takes place on the territory called North America, now primarily occupied by descendants of European colonizers and other immigrants. And it is the rightful land of Indigenous, Native American, and Native Nations population, First Nations populations. We are all responsible for understanding the history of colonization and genocide of Indigenous people, and must commit to learning, building relationships, sharing stories, and taking action to support Indigenous sovereignty, priorities, and actions. We encourage you to learn about the Indigenous peoples to whom the land you occupy rightfully belongs. A great place to start is at nativeland.ca, which is a link I will be also dropping in. And since acknowledgements should not be land acknowledgements should not be performative, and will be making donations to the Center for Native American Youth and the Native Indigenous Women's Resource Center. Winners of our games and door prizes will also have the option to donate to these organizations. Our keynote, Bobby Newman, has also donated their honorarium to these causes. I will be dropping the link for these organizations into the Whova chat as well. For my first round of thank yous, I want to say thank you to all of our attendees. We have 497 attendees, and including all of our presenters, we are over 500 people strong this year. I would also like to thank all of our presenters. We honestly could not put on this conference without you and the work you do all year and are willing to share with the greater community. I'm always impressed with what everyone is doing. I would also like to especially thank our panel presenters. Our sessions on prison and tribal libraries came from NWILL's interest to expand the programming and diversity of the voices heard in our community. Please feel free to contact members of these communities and these presentations to expand services and make community connections. Next, I'd like to thank our sponsors this year. It is my hope that they and our attendees had a valuable experience this year. It is our hope that NWILL is seen as a time to learn from each other and reconnect as well. I'm realizing I'm using the word hope a lot. Sorry. I now would like to thank all of our committee members. These people have stuck by me and told me when my ideas are horrible and when they are great. We have had people come and go this year due to employer changes, and many of these people will be leaving the committee at the end of this year due to changes in their work duties or change of location. Finally, I would like to thank our keynote, Bobby Newman. Now, one of my favorite parts of the closing session, which is asking how we did. To do this, please go to the following link, which I'm going to drop into the Whova chat. This is how you get participatory in a webinar format. The questions you see on the screen are listed on this page, and you should be able to type your answer in the Google Doc. Please somebody type in Whova if you cannot interact with that document. These questions are, what has inspired you? And is there anything that you're going to take from NWIL that is inspires you to do more in your work? Or for that matter, just inspires you in general? What highlights will you take back to your institutions? How can NWIL do better? And is there anything else you would like to share about the conference? Please feel free to leave notes anonymously, but also feel free to leave your name after your notes. This document will remain open for you to type in, and I'll take your note, and I'll talk about your notes a little later in this closing session. And I'm sorry if I stumble. I had dental work this week and my mouth is still working on that one. Now, a little bit of NWIL by the numbers this year. This year we had 497 registered attendees. And within Whova, we have sent, believe it or not, 3,571 and counting messages. And those mostly took place over 75 message boards. Whova says that on average there are 14, so we are a talkative group. We've uploaded over 193 photos, with nearly 1,000 likes on them. And we have had 17 meetups and counting. Now, why do I keep saying and counting? Because the community section of the conference is available to attendees for another week. So you guys can keep talking, keep posting, keep liking. And then the event space and its content is available for attendees for another 3 months. By January, the slides and the recordings will be available on the NWIL website. On that note, the NWIL survey will be coming next week to all registered attendees. Unlike the post-session surveys, this one is for the committee itself, the planning committee itself, and it asks about the content and format of the conference. Oh, somebody's at, I do not readily have that. It's just nwil.org. Yeah, thank you, Sophia. On that note, our conference survey will be coming this week. Unlike the post-session surveys, this one is for the committee planning, the conference committee itself, and it asks about the content and format of the conference. You're answering that survey and providing your email at the end will enter you in a raffle to bookshop.org. We draw for several winners, so it's not just one person trying to win out of 500. We do about one prize for every 50 people who reply. So the more of you that send in replies, the more winners. The survey also includes asking, do you want to build a conference? Yeah, I went there. Being on the NWIL committee is an amazing experience. This year has been my 4th year on the committee and my 3rd as the chair. And I can honestly say that I have made some amazing friends working with this group of people. 3 weeks ago, Johanna Slotz, who's on this committee from Colorado, visited Nashville for a soccer game and crashed on my couch before visiting friends south of the city. And Leanna from California Lutheran actually just visited my office yesterday and will be going to a concert here tonight. The requirements for a committee member are that you are in North America, work in libraries, and are currently or formerly connected to ILL. We heavily encourage the involvement of those outside of academic libraries, since NWIL wants to hear from diverse voices. And again, one of the big benefits of being on the committee is friendship. But you also receive free registration to NWIL, and it's also a great experience and resume builder. But why is the 2023 committee important? because we have some really big questions and issues to solve that might require a larger committee. Some of those questions are, how do we become a hybrid conference? Or do we stay 100% digital conference? What programs do we accept? And what is our schedule? And then, of course, there's always doing things like registration, thank you gifts and cards. There's a lot more logistics, but some of the really big ones. And if we are hybrid, we may need a larger committee. One part to do the digital side and one part to do the in-person. I'm seeing the chat. Okay. And now I am going to take a look and see if you guys have been putting anything into the document. Let's see what has inspired you. And I don't always read everything out loud because you guys don't want to hear me read everything. So what has inspired attendees at NWILL this year? And the acknowledgement of First Peoples is inspiring. I've recently joined our library's DEI committee and have many great ideas to bring to them. I also learned so much, and the prison library session was so informative. This is one of my favorite conferences. This is my second year attending. University of Arkansas. That makes me assume that that is Tia. So thank you, Tia. We also had someone said the sessions on CDL were inspiring. We did try to have we got so many program submissions and proposals on CDL and wellness this year that we decided that it was a really great idea to kind of make tracks so that if people could only attend 1 out of the 3 days of conference, they could decide that's what I really wanted to go to. Oh, somebody said what was inspiring? The general ILL community. It is such a welcoming, encouraging community, and that is really heartwarming. We really are, I would say it's one of my favorite things about being in ILL. What highlights will you take back to your institution? Better copyright adherence, better scanning adherence. The holy cats, it's high time we got on the CDL train. Actually, there's a lot of comments about getting on the CDL train here. I think there is going to be a big movement for that. There's also comments about how can NWILL do better, and some of these comments are things that we have no control over because it's what technology we have available, about having the biggest problem with the sessions not starting automatically when you get there early. And I apologize for people on that one. Even I had problems with that myself, so you weren't alone. And that's feedback we can take back to Whova. So thank you for telling us that. So there's a reason why we ask for questions like this. And anything else you'd like to share about the conference? We got some good jobs and some thank yous. And I appreciate that. And again, this is a document that will be open even after today's end of conference slides. So I want to make sure that I drop that down into the chat again, even. You guys are welcome to continue filling that in. But again, you will be getting a survey that will be coming out next week as well. And now a little reminder, prizes. There's been a lot of games going on, and I know there's been a couple of some really stiff competition with a couple of attendees for on the leaderboard as well. We will be selecting winners next week. The prize committee will be meeting and drawing winners. We try not to have it be done in a have just one person draw them because, you know, witnesses, there's no favoritism. And we like to have proof that there's no favoritism being done on winning prizes. So, no fixing the ballots here. Um, Melissa and Tia, you guys can fight it out in the chat. Some of them are really easy to figure out, but there's a caption contest going on, and that requires many people. But names will be posted in the platform for who wins things, and winners will also be notified. And on that note, I'll thank everyone, but I also see that there's some questions in the Q&A, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look at those. One of the questions is, how long will the recordings from sessions be available? So the recordings from sessions in Whova will be available for 3 months, but our sessions are forever available on YouTube and from our website. So we do that, and actually I'm going to stop my screen share. You guys can look at me at this point. Turn my camera back on, because this part, you guys don't need to be sitting and looking at that. How long will recordings be available? So yeah, our sessions are available. We have a YouTube channel. We also, they are, the ones from the current year are put behind a what's it called, embargo for 3 months. So we wait until January to make those publicly available. But the ones that you currently can see within Whova are rough cuts. We haven't gone through and fixed transcription. We haven't like trimmed them down or anything. You guys are like getting like exactly what you guys saw when you came. But they are always there. If you go to you can see everything from the last 2 years right now. We didn't record when we were back live. When will the slides from today's presentations be available? As soon as we can get them up. We can say that we are on the last day of the conference, and depending on when the presenters have sent them to us, but also we're all starting to get a little burnt out on being on the last day. So how fast we can get the turnaround done is based on how much sleep have we gotten. I've been told everyone has noticed that I sent out an email that was 1:30 a.m. Central Time last night. So it was a late night for me last night. So that's the thing. Oh, we got a question. What are the prizes? I don't think I ever saw that info. So our prizes, so the way we do prizes around here is our prize committee has gone through and curated a list of things that we think are a great option. We try to stay away from things like Amazon gift cards and stuff. So often they are digital gift cards to things like, this year, one of them will be to Woobles, which is a woman-owned crochet kit company. This is something that I've gotten into. I have a couple of these sitting next to me, and I've been learning to do this summer. I think this was my 3rd one right here. But there's also bookshop.org. There's something for a spa day. It's a gift card that actually is that can be used like at over 3,000 spas in North America, but also to places like you can donate to the National Park Systems or wildlife.org, World Wildlife Fund, and of course to the 2 Native American institutions. Oh, how much time does the committee need per month? That's a great question. So it actually really depends on what role you take on the committee. So we have people on the committee, one person on the committee who their job is actually to make our digital thank you cards. And that, I think, took her all of 5 to 10 hours of time over her entire time during the year. But committee, like time committee meetings are every other week for an hour. And that just allows you to put in your voice on what everyone else is doing if there's a vote or a decision that needs to be made. So that's 2 hours a month, and then whatever your additional duties may be, depending on what you've been assigned to or what you've asked to be done. You could have a strength in something. And if you're in the greater Oregon area and it is a hybrid conference, your duties may be more pertinent to local arrangements. Let's see. I hope that was enough. Like me as chair, my boss, who I know is hanging out in the chat, will tell you I spend a lot of time on the conference, but I'm the chairperson. That's just the way that goes. Actually, the committee does not require you to be in the Northwest. That is one of the questions. The only reason to be in the Northwest is shorter travel time if the conference is in person. That's it. I know the name says is Northwest Interlibrary Loan Conference, but we started out in Portland and in the greater Seattle area, so Washington and Oregon. But it then really expanded to the West Coast as a whole. And in the virtual setting, we've just become oh, and British Columbia also is where it kind of started. And then it kind of expanded out in the virtual setting. We became this national conference. Committee members right now, I'm in Tennessee, but we also have another person in Tennessee. We've had someone in Georgia. Marta, one of our committee members, is in New York. We have committee members in Oklahoma. But we also have a decent number of committee members in Oregon and California. We have someone in Utah, Boise. So we really are all over the place. Okay. When will the next conference be online, in person, or hybrid? So that's the question the 2023 committee gets to answer. Again, I am not the committee chair next year, and I will be very minimally involved with next year's conference because I need a break, a little bit of a break from conference planning. But if you're on the committee, you get to answer that question. There's a heavy interest in it being hybrid, but the committee has to be large enough for it to be hybrid. And if it is hybrid, it will most likely be in the greater Oregon area. Oh, will there be NWILL merch? This has been great. I'd love to advertise it with a t-shirt or hoodie. You know what? We don't have any merch, and you are the first person to ever ask us about merch. I think I have a water bottle somewhere. Shayna, if you're interested, come hit me up. We have we will have a meetup after this, the post-conference meetup in the Whova virtual group. And we could talk about that a little bit. That would be a really interesting want to be part of next year's conference committee. What do we do? Okay, oh, thanks, Dev. And if you want to be a part of next year's conference committee, what do? Say you want to be a part of next year's conference committee in the post-conference survey. On the very last page of the survey, there is a section where you can say you're interested and you put in your name and your email. Some of the requirements is that, again, you're somewhere in North America, because we're pretty good at handling time zone differences across North America, and for meetings. And then from there, you need permission from your supervisor. And if you are the supervisor, just making sure that you have time. Whoever the chairperson is figures out in their schedule when they have openings, and they generally send out a poll and see when everyone can meet. There's usually an expectation that you attend at least some of the meetings. if not all of them. It's not 100% requirement because, you know, life happens, you know, vacations, kids sick, stuff like that. We've become a lot more open to things like this thanks to COVID. We just have to be more open to uh, when life gives you lemon, making lemonade. On that note, I am going to actually end our closing because I'm taking questions. But I'm also going to be available in the virtual meetup after this. And those rooms can take about 20 people. And you can ask me questions live and I can we can actually have a full discussion. So I hope to see some of you there. Thank you for joining us this year. Bye.